Wait, that woman 2 loungers over. That's the supplement rep from the Vegas Expo. Heather, something? That's not Heather. That's Stephanie, my sister, who's supposed to be dying.
The blonde tipped her head back, laughing. No headscarf, no fragile paws. Just a cocktail and a video call. It was Stephanie Reeves.
I took this at the expo. Name tag says Heather Reeves. She was pitching detox tea 2 months ago.
Karen hit record. Over the ambient music, her sister's voice came through. And if you lock in the affiliate rate today, your commission doubles.
3 years of treatments she never had. 3 years my daughter lost while I held her hand.
Mark found her by the railing, champagne flute untouched. She thrust the phone into his hand. The recording played, and his face turned to stone.
Karen? That's your sister? The one everybody's been fundraising for? $61,000. Every Sunday casserole. Emily's state finals, I missed them all. For this.
High above the glittering resort, Karen stared down at the pool where her sister laughed. The phone in her hand held a recording, a photo, and the weight of 3 stolen years. 3 years earlier, Karen sat at her parents' dining table while her sister twisted a napkin between her fingers.
The biopsy results came back. It's stage 3 breast cancer.
We'll fight this together, sweetheart. Whatever it takes.
I'll set up a GoFundMe tonight. We'll need funds for travel, treatments, everything. I can handle the galas.
Within a week, the fundraiser went live. Pink ribbons, tearful photos of Stephanie, and a donation thermometer that surged past $50,000. Karen cooked every Sunday, casseroles she never ate herself, delivered with a forced smile while her own freezer stayed empty. Emily's volleyball team made the state finals. Karen watched the winning spike on a grainy phone stream from the infusion center waiting room.
My daughter needed me, but my sister was dying. There was no choice.
They say the chemo is working, but I'm so tired. Will you shave my head? I can't watch it fall out strand by strand.
3 years of this, weekly meals, benefit galas, $61,000 raised, and Karen never once doubted the tears or the bald head. Stephanie live-streamed the head shaving. Karen held the clippers, tears running, while her sister sobbed for the camera.
I need a healing retreat. Just a few days. The mountains will clear my mind before round 4.
Emily's 16th birthday dinner was supposed to be at 7. At 6:40, Stephanie's caller ID lit up Karen's phone, an emergency.
I'm so sorry, Em. Your aunt's port is infected. I have to meet her at the ER. We'll celebrate tomorrow.
Mark didn't say a word that night. He sat in the dark living room, staring at their wedding photo, 2 people he barely recognized now.
You missed her state finals, now her birthday. How much more are we supposed to sacrifice?
She's my sister. She has nobody else. I can't let her die alone.
Karen saw the vacation photos. She knew that mountain retreat was really a beach in Florida, but she told herself chemo patients deserve small joys.
If I stop believing in her fight, what's left? Just a pile of empty casserole dishes and a daughter who won't look me in the eye.
The act was perfect. The suffering, the bald head, the trembling voice, and Karen, stage managing every detail, never once checked the script. Karen didn't touch her scallops. The string quartet played on, but all she heard was her sister's voice from the recording, talking about affiliate codes. In the hotel room, she opened Instagram. There was Stephanie in a bright blazer, holding a tea bottle, geotagged at the Las Vegas Wellness Expo 2 months earlier.
She told us she was too immunosuppressed for visitors, but she flew to Nevada to keynote a sales conference. Amanda, I need the expo speaker schedule. The exact dates, please.
February 14th through 16th. Her detox seminar was Saturday at 2. I already sent you the badge scans.
That same Saturday, Stephanie's text had read, "Forgive me, can't talk. The chemo is crushing me." Karen had cried herself to sleep that night.
I'll call the airline. We leave at 7. We're done here.
Karen stuffed printed screenshots next to her passport. She hadn't worn a bikini once, and she wasn't going to.
I'll be a witness. Nobody should get away with this, especially against their own family.
As the plane lifted off, Karen opened a new note on her phone. Step 1. Verify the oncology practice. Step 2. Build a timeline no one could deny. The number printed on every fundraiser banner rang twice before a robotic voice announced it was disconnected.
That's impossible. I've called this number a dozen times over 3 years.
She drove to the address listed on the practice's website, a suburban medical plaza she'd never actually visited. The suite was empty. Glass door covered in brown paper, a for-lease sign taped crooked. No oncology practice had ever been there. She sat in the driver's seat, hands shaking, unable to unlock her phone. Her breath came in shallow gasps.
They never even existed. She picked a random building and I never checked.
That evening, she laid the expo screenshot and the empty office photo on the kitchen table. Mark stared without speaking.
So 3 years of our lives were built on a lie. Every Sunday, every dollar.
Every treatment date aligns with an expo trip. She was never sick, Mark. Not once.
Mark pulled up his laptop. They typed Heather Reeves detox and hit enter. The screen filled with results like a confession. On the official expo site, they found the speaker lineup. Heather Reeves. Keynote, February 15th, the same day Stephanie texted, "Can't stop vomiting."
And here she is at the booth, holding a tea bottle, smiling. That's the exact hour she was supposedly on IV fluids.
She lied about the port surgery, the infections, the white blood cell counts. Every emergency matches a public appearance.
She printed the schedule and pinned it above her desk. Then Amanda's email arrived, a photo of the badge, an affiliate list, and a booth registration form. She read the email aloud. Attached, sponsor record for Heather Reeves. Affiliate payments began March 2022, 2 months after her diagnosis. Karen opened the spreadsheet. Deposits, small at first, then larger, all marked affiliate commission, all tied to a bank account she didn't recognize.
I asked around, she flew to 3 expos last year, always under the name Heather. The rep company has her on contract.
She built a whole career while I measured out soup portions. I missed my daughter's life for someone who wasn't even sick.
She pinned the chemo messages next to the expo photos, same dates, opposite stories, a timeline so clean it felt like a blade. By midnight, the wall was covered, 3 years of fabricated suffering laid bare in ink and toner. Karen stepped back, phone in hand, and dialed her parents. Her thumb hovered over the call button, then she pressed end. A confrontation without legal guidance was a trap she wouldn't walk into. She called a criminal attorney instead. The next morning, Karen sat across a mahogany desk with thick folders of evidence. The lawyer traced a finger over her timeline and shook his head. This is wire fraud across state lines. Notifying GoFundMe isn't optional, it's a legal obligation.
What happens to the donors if I report? Will they get their money back?
He explained the process: a fraud investigation, donor refunds, and potential charges. Karen's stomach turned, but her spine didn't bend.
If I stay silent, I'm part of it. Every dollar she takes is on my hands too.
He handed her a printed checklist: preserve all evidence, gather donor contact list, draft a formal report. She took it with steady hands. Back home, she opened the GoFundMe donor report and exported every name. Then she began drafting the email that would end her sister's con.
This isn't revenge. It's restitution for everyone she lied to.
Her finger rested on the trackpad, the cursor blinking over send. She knew once she clicked, there was no going back. She pressed send, and the email fired into the void. Attachments, dates, a sister's signature on a fraud she'd perfected. Within the hour, GoFundMe replied, "Your fraud report has been received. The campaign is suspended pending investigation." The bright pink donation thermometer vanished, replaced by a grayed-out page and a single line. This campaign is no longer accepting donations. The first donor email arrived minutes later. "I gave my entire Christmas bonus. Please tell me this isn't true."
I'm so sorry. The cancer was fabricated. Every treatment date is documented. I'll send you the proof.
Another call came, then another. Each voice more shattered than the last. Neighbors, co-workers, the elderly couple from church who'd sold a quilt.
They trusted me. I was the face of the fundraiser, and now I'm the one telling them it was all smoke.
By nightfall, the donor message board flooded with confusion, fury, and the slow, painful gratitude of people who'd been lied to and finally told the truth. Karen refreshed the frozen campaign page one last time, then closed her laptop. The silence in the house was louder than any protest. Across town, Stephanie's phone buzzed with a string of notifications she hadn't asked for. Your campaign has been suspended. A fraud report has been filed.
Karen, my GoFundMe is gone. Someone filed a fraud report. They're saying the illness isn't real.
Calm down. I'll check what happened. It's probably a mistake.
She listened to Stephanie's panicked explanation. The campaign had been reported, and kept her voice steady.
You have to fix this. The money was for my treatments. People will think I'm a liar.
Karen ended the call and immediately dialed her parents, speaking with a calm that belied the coming storm.
Mom, Dad, I need everyone here Saturday. The whole family. Something has come up.
What's so urgent? Is Aunt Stephanie okay?
The fundraiser's in trouble. I need to talk about it with everyone face to face.
She didn't mention Cancun or the expo or the empty office. Not yet. Stephanie would walk into that dinner still believing her sister was her protector. Karen intended to dismantle that belief in front of everyone. Stephanie arrived swathed in a silk headscarf, leaning on Patricia's arm as if the walk from the car required everything she had. Dinner passed in forced small talk, the clink of silverware too loud. Karen's gaze never left her sister.
Before dessert, I have something everyone needs to hear.
She lifted her phone from her lap, the recording already cued, and pressed play. The Cancun pool deck filled the living room. Stephanie's laugh, the clink of ice in a cocktail, and her voice clear. Lock in the affiliate rate today, your commission doubles.
That's someone else. A coincidence. I've never been to Cancun.
Karen, what are you doing? You're terrifying your sister.
Then explain this. The oncology office listed for your treatment? It's an empty for-lease unit. There is no practice.
I don't know who put that there. Someone is framing me. You have to believe me.
Patricia sobbed into her hands. Emily stood rigid by the door. Mark watched with cold eyes. Stephanie's denials filled the room, but the evidence sat in the center of the table like a verdict.
I just wanted people to care about me. You don't understand what it's like to feel invisible.
You're tearing this family apart, Karen? Is that what you wanted?
Look at the timeline. Every treatment matches a trip. She built a second career while we sacrificed everything.
She stole 3 years from us. From me. And you're defending her?
Patricia wailed, her composure shattered as Emily's words hung in the air like a second verdict. Stephanie's tears vanished. Her face hardened. You recorded me? You've been building a case like some cop?
The police already have the file. This isn't a family argument anymore, Stephanie. It's wire fraud.
You can't be serious. She's your sister. You'd send your own blood to jail?
Stephanie lunged for the phone, but Mark stepped between them, his silence louder than any protest. The living room split into factions, Patricia weeping, Richard raging, Emily defiant, and Karen, alone in the center, gripping the folder that had cost her everything. Stephanie ripped the headscarf from her hair and flung the front door open. She didn't look back.
We need time, Karen. Don't call us for a while.
Emily crossed the room and buried her face in Karen's shoulder. The tears came in waves, but no words.
I'll call the non-emergency line. They need the rest of the evidence.
Karen sat at her desk and typed to her attorney. Subject: ready to proceed. Body: I want to press charges. She lay awake at 2 a.m., the ceiling a blank canvas for the faces of her parents, her sister, her daughter.
They think I'm the villain. Maybe I am, but the villain told the truth.
The email sent at 2:47 a.m. carried the weight of 3 years into a legal process she could no longer stop. Mark found her at 3, brought her a cup of tea she wouldn't drink, and sat beside her in the hush of their ruined home. She closed her eyes and saw Cancun, the pool, the laughter, the moment the lie had cracked wide open and swallowed them all. 5 days later, GoFundMe's final notice arrived. Fraud confirmed, $61,000 to be refunded to every donor. Karen sat at the kitchen table and opened the donor response thread. The first message read, "You did the right thing. I know it cost you.
It cost me everything, but I'd do it again.
That afternoon, a patrol car pulled up outside Stephanie's apartment. Neighbors watched as she was led out in handcuffs, still wearing the silk headscarf. Karen received the call from the detective an hour later. Stephanie was in custody for questioning. The fraud case was now official. She pulled up the GoFundMe page one last time. The banner read, "Fraud reported, investigation complete." Below it, a single line, "All donations refunded."
3 years, $60,000, and my family, all gone. But the donors got their money back. That's something.
A new email notification lit up her phone. Subject: Thank you for the truth. It was from the elderly couple who'd sold the quilt. She read it twice. Then she saved it in a folder called Reasons. Outside, the streetlights buzzed on. Inside, Karen sat alone with the quiet hum of justice. Not loud, not triumphant, but present. The local paper ran the story above the fold. Local woman charged in cancer fraud scheme. Stephanie's booking photo stared back at Karen.
She'll go to prison because of you. Your grandparents would be ashamed.
She broke the law, Dad. I didn't force her to lie for 3 years.
The call ended. Patricia's voice followed an hour later, begging her to drop the charges. Karen listened, said nothing, and hung up. At school, Emily faced whispers. A teammate asked, "Is your aunt really a criminal?" She didn't answer. In the prosecutor's office, Karen sat across from a woman who spread photographs across the table. "We'll need you on the stand."
What will the defense try?
He didn't sugarcoat it. They'd paint her as vindictive, a sister scorned, but the evidence was ironclad.
I'll testify. Whatever it takes to put the truth on the record.
She walked out into the courthouse hallway, the newspaper article still in her bag, the weight of her decision settling into her bones. Karen took the stand in a hushed courtroom. Her hands were steady. The prosecutor asked her to identify the voice on the recording.
That is my sister, Stephanie Reeves. She was selling detox supplements at a Cancun resort pool.
The recording played again, filling the courtroom. Stephanie's laugh, the clink of ice, the affiliate code pitch. The jury leaned forward. On cross-examination, the defense attorney stepped close. "You've resented your sister for years. Isn't that true, Mrs. Reeves?"
I loved her enough to believe her for 3 years. What I resent is being turned into an accomplice to fraud.
She walked the jury through the timeline. Empty office, expo badges, texts about chemo on conference days. Her voice never wavered. In the gallery, Emily wiped her eyes but sat taller. Mark kept one hand on her shoulder, the other clenched in his lap. The defense rested. Closing arguments ended at 4:15. The judge instructed the jury, and they filed out into deliberation. The heavy courtroom door clicked shut behind the jurors. The gavel rested on the bench, waiting. Karen sat in the hallway, her father's angry words echoing, but she didn't move. The truth was on the record now, and nothing could take it back. 40 minutes later, the bailiff called them back. The courtroom rose, a collective breath held. The foreman unfolded the paper with trembling hands and read, "On the count of wire fraud, we find the defendant guilty." The gavel struck once. The sound echoed through the wood-paneled room, a period at the end of a 3-year sentence. Stephanie's legs buckled. Her lawyer caught her elbow, but she sagged, her face crumpling into her hands as the sobs started.
No, no, please. She's my baby.
Richard stared straight ahead, his jaw slack, his hands motionless on the railing, as if the world had stopped.
No victory. Just a hollow thud where relief should be, and the weight of 3 stolen years pressing down.
The judge spoke evenly, 18 months in state prison, plus restitution to every defrauded donor. The bailiff approached, handcuffs in hand. Stephanie looked back once, and Karen held her gaze without flinching, without blinking. Then the door closed, and the courtroom emptied. Karen stayed seated, the silence finally louder than the lie, and let the tears come without sound. The civil suit took 4 months. The settlement wasn't enough to undo the past, but it covered the cost of every volleyball season Emily had lost.
I can't give her back the time, but I can give her back the game.
She wrote a check to the elite volleyball club, the same travel team Emily had qualified for before Stephanie's lies swallowed their bank account. She called Emily in. The girl stared at the check, then up at her mother, 100 unspoken questions in her eyes.
You found a way to pay for the whole season? Every tournament, every training camp. This is yours. No strings, no apologies.
Emily didn't say thank you. She just crossed to Karen and buried her face in her mother's shoulder, her shoulders shaking. That night, Emily packed her duffel. Knee pads, ankle brace, the scuffed ball she'd kept under her bed all this time.
There's no undoing what she stole. But this is a start.
Karen stood in the doorway, watching. The weight on her chest loosened, just a fraction, replaced by something that felt almost like hope. The bleachers vibrated under 100 stamping feet. Karen sat in the third row, phone aloft, eyes locked on number 17. Emily rose above the net, arm cocked, and slammed the ball into the back corner. The crowd erupted. Karen's screen caught the whole arc.
3 years I missed this. 3 years I watched from a hospital chair. Not anymore.
The final whistle blew. Karen's team won by 2. She shoved her phone in her pocket and nearly vaulted the railing.
Mom, did you see my kill? Right down the line? I saw it. I recorded it. I didn't miss a single point.
Emily hugged her mother tighter than she had in years, the space between them collapsing until there was nothing but a heartbeat. As they pulled apart, Emily turned back toward the celebrating team, then smiled over her shoulder at Karen, a look that said, "We made it."
I can't undo the lost years, but this moment, this one is real and it's ours.
The tournament trophy went to the team, but the victory Karen felt was quieter, a daughter's laugh reclaimed, a seat in the stands finally filled. Karen lifted the pink banner from the storage box. She'd rolled it up 3 years ago expecting a victory party, not a crime scene. She sealed the box with packing tape and wrote donation in black marker. No ceremony, no hesitation. At her laptop, she right-clicked Stephanie's fight and selected delete. The bookmark vanished and something in her chest loosened. She pulled up the saved email from the elderly couple. "Thank you for the truth," and sent it to the printer. She placed the printed note in a wooden frame on her desk, beside a journal she hadn't touched in months. She uncapped her pen and wrote, "Today I didn't think about the fraud. I thought about Emily's spike." She underlined Emily.
That donor was right. Honesty cost me a sister, but it gave me back myself.
She closed the journal and set the pen aside. The house fell quiet, but it was an ordinary stillness now. On the porch, she sat with tea, the framed note catching the last sun. She felt her shoulders drop for the first time in years. She looked at the photo in her hands, Emily midair at the tournament, and smiled without measuring the cost. A plain envelope arrived with a state correctional stamp. Karen held it between 2 fingers, her thumb tracing the return address. She unfolded the paper. Stephanie had written 3 pages of excuses: loneliness, regret, a desire to be sisters again.
She's still performing. This isn't remorse. It's a new script.
She tore the letter in 2 clean halves. The sound was quiet, final, a lifeline severed. She laid the pieces on the counter and pushed them into the trash bin without looking.
Did you read all of it?
Enough to know it was about her, not about us. I'm not her victim anymore.
Mark nodded once, the kind of nod that said he'd stopped waiting for the old Karen to return.
She'll always be my sister in name, but she can't reach me anymore.
She poured coffee and watched the morning light fill the room. No guilt, no rage, just an anchoring quiet, the kind that follows a storm. A year after the trial, Karen wore a blue apron that said volunteer and stood before a small group in a community hall. The banner read, "Fight for Real."
I believed a lie for 3 years. If you suspect something, check facts, not feelings.
Her story wasn't a confession. It was a vaccine given freely so no one else would suffer the same infection. At home, Emily burst through the door with an envelope. Karen saw the university crest, and her heart stopped.
Mom, I got the volleyball scholarship. Full ride. Everything we clawed back. It led to this.
A month later, they gathered in the park for a new family portrait. No pink ribbons, no bald heads, just the 5 of them, finding their balance.
We're not where we were, but we're still here. That counts for something.
It's not the same family, but it's still a family. Maybe that's enough.
The camera clicked, and the photographer said, "Perfect." No one corrected her. Dusk settled over the porch, the sky a wash of violet and gold. Karen eased into the swing, the old chains creaking a familiar welcome. Inside, the muffled shuffle of Emily's packing drifted through the screen door, a duffel zipper, a laugh, the life moving on. Her mind drifted to Cancun, the turquoise pool, the laugh that had shattered the lie, Amanda's voice cutting through the sun. Without that chance meeting, she would still be packing casseroles, still missing the games, still buried under the fraud.
Thank you, Amanda.
She let the words settle in the evening air, a gratitude that needed no reply. The house stood behind her, steady and filled with the ordinary sounds of a family learning to be one again.
I lost a sister, but I found myself, and that, on any balance, is more than I ever expected.
The swing rocked gently. Inside, Emily laughed. The world kept turning, and Karen, for the first time in years, didn't brace for the next disaster. The camera pulled back slowly, past the porch, past the yard, until Karen was just a quiet shape against the last light, small but unbroken.